Hello everybody, this is Lee Davey from the Alcohol Addiction Podcast, and I'm just going to do a follow-up to the podcast that I did a while ago called Personality Transplant. If you never listened to that, then I suggest you stop this recording, go back, listen to Personality Transplant first before you listen to this, otherwise it won't make sense to you, okay? So, welcome back. For those of you that listened to the first episode, Personality Transplant, you'll know that I was talking about a behavior of mine as a parent when it came to my 2-year-old daughter Zia, and my lack of patience and compassion and empathy when she is waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning and she wants to be breastfed and we're trying to wean her off, right? And John, one of the people who is a regular contributor on Strive and top man and an intensive member, John posed the question or the inquiry, Lee, maybe this isn't about change. Maybe this isn't about like getting a personality transplant. Maybe this is about acceptance. Maybe you're trying too hard to be someone you're not. And maybe sometimes we just have to accept that this is who we are when surrounded by, you know, these quote-unquote perfect parents. And the quote-unquote perfect parents is a reference to, I said in my personality transplant podcast, how Liza, when it comes to her parenting, she's pretty nigh on perfect, especially when it comes to the empathy, compassion and presence mode. Like if you ever see her when Zia is in a state of anarchy or playing up, like Liza is unruffleable. There you are, there's a new word for you, unruffleable. You cannot ruffle that girl's feathers. And I look at her in that moment and I wish to myself, I wish I could parent like she does. But let's get to John's question, because I think it's a really important one. I have been sharing my story with people since 2009. And if you've been with me since the beginning or you've just joined recently, I hope that you've learned that there's nothing about my life. Well, that's not true. There is very little about my life that I don't tell you about. Like, I am an open book with just a few chapters that I keep to myself. Invariably, anything and everything that happens in my life, I can use it as a way for other people to benefit. I'm not the type of person who leads by positive example the vast majority of the time. I'm the person who leads by showing you how much of a screw up I am, so you can learn not to make the same mistakes. But that doesn't mean that I am a complete and utter screw up. It doesn't mean that I don't like who I am. It doesn't mean that I don't love myself, okay? Yeah, I suffer from low self-esteem that is tied in with blueprints of the way that I was raised and the way that I grew up as a child thinking. I have those issues, I have those problems, but who doesn't in the world, right? Everybody does, okay? So for me, every time I post on Strive or every time I say, like my check-ins, I'm in the process of trying to check in every day. I'm on like day 8. My check-ins are not your normal check-ins that you see from leaders of people who are trying to help other people quit alcohol, right? Invariably for me, I'm sharing my pain and misery. I don't really share my joy. I'm kind of like, you know, this is what happened to me yesterday that was difficult. This is what happened to me yesterday that was challenging. This is what happened to me yesterday that made me cry. This is what happened to me yesterday where I upset my wife and my kids. And this is how I'm going to learn from it. That's what you get from me. What you don't get, wow, yesterday I ran a 5K. Wow, yesterday I ran a 10K. Wow, yesterday I did an Ironman. Wow, yesterday I meditated in a retreat for like 15 weeks. Wow, yesterday I, went to yoga for 10 hours. And that's fine. Like, those leaders are fan-dabby-dozy and you know. Sometimes they can influence me, but that's not what turns me on. You know, what turns me on actually is wallowing in somebody else's self-pity and pain. Because when that happens, I sense vulnerability, and when I sense vulnerability, I sense trust, and when I sense trust, that means... dickhead. That means that I can now open up, and now I can be my transparent self with this person and feel I'm going to be respected, right? That's what I like. That's not to say, by the way, that people who live in pure bliss and perfectness and prosperity are not authentic. Of course you can be like that. Of course there are millions and billions of people like that. It's just I'm not attracted to that state a lot of the times, right? And the conversations I have, like internally with my 4 or 5 close friends, yeah, we celebrate our wins, but we poke around in our losses more than we celebrate our wins. All right. So when I post something, and people invariably, the type of feedback I get is, "Oh, Lee, don't be so hard on yourself." "Oh, Lee," like if I turn around and say like I'm really not empathic, people will be like, "Well, Lee, you really are, right? You really are empathic." Okay. If I say I'm not compassionate, people say you really are compassionate. If people are always supporting me. And I think what we're looking at here is 2 ways of looking at life. One way is black or white, which David Burns would say is one of these cognitive distortions which doesn't lead to a happy ending. And then there's another way of looking at life that say that life is shades of grey, right? So I guess sometimes when I'm posting on Strive or talking in my podcast, I'm giving off this air of black and white thinking, right? I am not empathic. I am compassionate. I am not sympathetic. I am funny. I am not blah, blah, blah. When in truth, what happens to most human beings, I'm pretty sure happens to me, is sometimes I'm a great dad. Sometimes I'm a fuck up of a dad. Sometimes I display great empathy. Other times I ride roughshod over people's feelings. Sometimes I'm a great husband, and sometimes I'm a shitty husband, right? I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I had Christmas dinner with a family. I had a really great time. It was loving, beautiful. Went off to watch Aquaman. It was great. Had a great time. Held my wife's hand, cuddled her, loved it. Goes back and we're having dinner. During dinner, my nephew turns around and says that he used to work at a food truck. I turn around at dinner in front of everybody and say, "Wow, I love eating at food trucks." And my wife Liza turned around and said, "What food trucks have you been to?" And I said, "Oh, lots. Been to food trucks in London." And then she said, "I don't remember you ever going to a food truck." And in that moment, I felt so small, so emasculated, so ridiculed, so pathetic, so humiliated. And you might be thinking to yourself, what the fuck is this guy's problem? She only said, "What food truck have you been to?" But for me, the whole tone, everything around it was belittling. It was like, "You haven't been to no food truck, you fucking lying fucker." That's what went on in my head. So how did I react to that? I turned around and said, "Do you know what, Liza? I don't know off the top of my head what food trucks I've been to. What I'll do, I'll make a list and then I'll email it to you when I've got the list." In front of her entire family. Okay? Which resulted in what? Answers on a postcard to thetruthboutalcohol@gmail.com. I can tell you right now, I transferred my humiliation to my wife in front of her family. We get home later on, I go to give her a kiss, and by the way, I'm in the car all the way home thinking to myself, I need to raise this issue with Liza. I need Liza to know that when she said that, I felt humiliated. Okay? And then I said to myself, well, I can't raise it now because she's in the car with her mum. And then I said, I'll raise it tomorrow. And then I said, do you know what? I'm not going to raise it at all. I'm just gonna sit on it. I'm just not even going to mention it. I get home, I've got to give her a kiss, and she says, don't don't fucking come near me, basically, paraphrasing. And then we went at it in the kitchen, and then her mum come in, and her mum kept trying to interrupt us while we're quite obviously in our heated debate. I turned around and said to her mum, look, mum, don't talk to us now, like we're in the middle of something. And then Liza then got really angry because I talked to her mum like that. And then I went to her mum afterwards to apologise, and her mum was like, just, you know, you can just leave this house if you're going to argue. And in that moment, you know, how am I going to feel about myself? Like, I could turn around and think to myself, do you know what? I'm not going to change, right? Liza humiliated me. Liza said what she said, and the only reason she could say what she said was to make me look small, was to make me look stupid, right? But when I talk to Liza and tell her that what she said made me look stupid, Liza tells me that she didn't mean to make me look stupid. She just really wanted to know what food trucks I had been to. All right? Now in that moment, I have a choice of whether I want to believe her or not. And Liza said yesterday that I never believe what she says is the truth. Well, that's not true. Whenever Liza looks me in the eyes and says to me, I'm sorry, okay, I can see how you feel that way, but I'm telling you that wasn't my intention. I believe her. Why? Because she is somebody who will tell me the truth. She will tell me if she was trying to hurt me or not, right? So, I know that she is not trying to hurt me in that instance. So why am I getting so beat up about it? Why did I get all flustered about it, start to feel like I was emasculated, and then why did I react by humiliating her that then led to a fight that really upset her mum, you know? Why couldn't I in that moment have just turned around and said, oh, do you know what, off the top of my head right now, I can't remember all the food trucks I've been to, but I know I've been to a lot of them all around the world, and I really love the variety and the freshness of it and the cheapness of it. But yeah, I can't remember any off the top of my head right now. Why couldn't I have just said that? Because if I had just said that, if I would have been the type of person who in that moment didn't make it all about me and attached a story to it that then created anarchy afterwards, then Liza would not have been humiliated. And then Liza then said to me, you know what, she said, you do that often. You don't just humiliate me in big outbursts like that, but it's a drip, drip, drip thing with you. So you like to make me the butt of your jokes when you're having dinner, when I'm around with my family. You're always taking the mickey. You know, like yesterday, for example, Liza always is worried about what chemicals are in food, what chemicals are in product, and I was joking about that yesterday. Now think about that, right? Is that any different from someone who doesn't drink alcohol, okay, being ribbed by someone who does drink alcohol? Is that any different than someone who is a non-vegan ribbing someone who is a vegan? Is that any different between someone who doesn't believe in God ribbing someone who believes in God? Really and truly, it's not, is it? So why am I ridiculing my wife in front of her family and think that it is just normal? Well, if you ever hear my dad talk about my mum, you will know why. All right, you will know why. My dad always takes a piss out of my mum, and my mum always takes it as a joke. So when you grow up where your dad is taking a piss out of your mum and your mum is taking it as a joke, you grow up that is how you react in a marital situation to bring joy into that situation, right? Because your parents seem to like it. Here's a good example, right? And you'll laugh at this. My mum had to go in for a hip. I said to my dad, how's my mum? How's her hip? And my dad said, not bad. I said to the surgeon, while she's under the knife, can you do something about her face? My mum laughed. My mum's like, oh, oh, your dad, he's so funny, right? But what's really going on under the hood there? Is my mum really happy that my dad said that? Maybe. Is she really sad that she said that? I don't know. But the fact that they coexist in that environment means that me, as a young man, picked that up and flew with that, and I behaved like that in my first marriage, and my first wife never said anything about it. And now I behave like that in my second marriage, and my wife Liza says, whoa, I don't like it, all right? You are not an ally in our situation. You are making me look small in front of my family. And when I think about her family, they're very, very different to my family. So if I was to take the mickey out of my ex-wife around my family or her family, everybody else would be laughing and joking, including my ex-wife. But now I can see that when I make that joke in front of Liza's family, her family must be thinking, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Who is this guy? Like, I don't hear any of my brother-in-laws or sister-in-laws talking the same way about their wives or family members. And yet I think that is normal and acceptable, right? So, going back to what John says, how do I deal with this then? Do I just turn around and go, well, you know what, Liza? Fuck you. This is who I am. You need to accept, okay, that part of who I am and my personality is humor, is like piss take humor. Like, I am going to take the piss out of you in front of your family. That's who I am, you know, and I'm fed up. I don't want to change. Like, am I going to say, look, I am the type of person who's going to lose my shit occasionally, and I'm going to shout at my daughter? Am I going to say, look, I am the type of person who, when I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning by a kid who's manipulating me and pretending she wants a poo and pretending that she wants a drink of water just because she doesn't want to sleep and she wants her mum's boob, and I lose my temper, right? Am I just going to just say to you, that is just who I am, right? Well, guess what? That is what I've said. I've said that, and I say that every time I argue. That is my defensive posture. But that is resistance. That is resistance saying, do you know what? It's much easier for me to say, you have to accept who I am, than me to actually do the work. Because it takes a huge amount of work to reprogram these neurological connections, this personality that we've created throughout our life. Huge. Like, anybody who is currently going through this process of trying to be someone who doesn't drink alcohol knows how difficult it is to shift from being someone who drinks alcohol to someone who doesn't drink alcohol. Well, imagine how difficult it is to go from being husband A to husband B, or father A to father B. Being someone who loses his shit and is angry all the time to someone who's compassionate and empathic most of the time. Alright? It is super, super difficult. And we don't want to make that change because partly we're afraid of who we are. We won't know who we're going to become. Partly we're afraid of failure. We don't want to fail. We don't want to turn around and say to our wife, like, I remember Liza saying to me once, you've been saying to me for years and years and years that you're going to change. When is it going to happen? Right? Well, you could feel like an absolute failure in that moment, can't you? Because you could be thinking to yourself, yeah, this ain't working. I'm not cut out for this. Yet now I just react to that by saying, love, I am working my fucking balls off to change who I am. And I can see when I look in the mirror every single day that I am changing, that I am improving as a human being. And I will get there. And I want you to have faith in me that I will get there. Because I will, right? Because I want to change. Now here's the thing. In the book, The Four Agreements, or one of these books, the author is Don Miguel Ruiz. Nearly avoided me then. Don Miguel Ruiz said, if you want a cat, do not buy a dog. Alright? And when I read that, when I was going through my divorce with my first marriage, I burst out into tears because I could see I was trying to change my wife completely. I wanted her to stop drinking. I wanted her to get into philosophy. I wanted her to meditate. I wanted her to do yoga. I wanted to have deep, meaningful conversations with me. I wanted her to put me first and not like socializing and drinking. I wanted to change every facet of her, right? Every facet. Everything. You wouldn't believe I wanted to change everything in her. And then we get divorced, and I blame her, and I say to everybody that it's her fault because I want everybody to support me and be my mate and to like villainize her so I feel good, my ego feels good. But then when I read that by Don Miguel Ruiz, I realized that I had been making her life a holy fucking hell by trying to get her to change, right? Nobody should try to force somebody else to change. You should not be doing that, because if you do that, it's going to end up in a road to ruin. It really is. It is so disrespectful. It is untrue. And I learned that from Don Miguel Ruiz. The respectful thing to do, if you really wanted to change that much, is to fucking leave them and allow them to find somebody who will accept them for who they are. Okay? To accept them from who they are. Now, I am 100% sure that Liza has accepted me for who I am, because if she hadn't, she'd be out the fucking door, right? She would be gone. She would say to herself, I don't want this guy anywhere near me because I don't like him as a man, I don't like him as a husband, I don't like him as a father. I need him out of it. I need to go. Alright? So I am accepted. And I don't feel like I'm being forced to change. I want to change. Because I do not like being somebody who humiliates his wife at a dinner table. I don't like being somebody who makes his daughter cry because he's exerting his dominance over her because he can't get his shit together and fucking be more mindful. I changed and became someone who doesn't drink alcohol because I didn't want to drink alcohol or be seen as somebody who drank alcohol. I just told you that the reason that I have this humor and the reason that I humiliate my wife is because my dad used to do that with his wife. Well, what is Zia gonna do? What is Jude gonna do if I continue to do that in this relationship? Come on, like, they're gonna behave the same way. Jude's gonna like take the piss out of his wife, right? Zia is gonna think that it's okay for her husband to take the piss out of her, and she's going to turn it into a joke like my mum does. I don't want that to happen. Alright? So this personality transplant that I'm going through right now is much needed, and I want it, because I am going to come out of it, the other end, a much better human being. Which means I'm going to be a greater role model. I'm going to be helping you guys and girls a lot more, because you will learn as I fuck up along the way, and then when I finally get there, probably just before I'm about to die, I'll be able to share a few golden tips with you about how it worked out, right? This personality transplant is really important to me. And when Liza turned around and said to me last night, so how are you going to change, Lee? How is this going to work? Like, and I said to her, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, honey. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah, your mum got upset yesterday because we were arguing, but look, at the end of it, I think we got somewhere. We chewed out something, and I realized in that moment that I had been humiliating you, and I have some fucking work to do. And you also realize that if you turn around and say to me, in front of your family, what food trucks you've been to, then I'm likely to react and attack you. Alright? We've learned something. And now we've learned that I have to continue doing my meditations and continually to be mindful and continue to change these neurological connections so I can change my personality so I behave differently. Okay? I want a beautiful, loving relationship. My wife said to me 2 days ago, she looked me in the eye and she said, I am loving this guy you're becoming. Okay? That felt really good to me, because I know at the end of that is more love, more connection, more eroticism, more sex, more cuddles, more everything that's good and less everything that's bad. Less angst, less irritation, you know? I want that in my life. And for me to have that in my life, I have got to make some changes to my personality. I'm not being forced to do this. I want to do it because that's the person I want to be. Yes, I could turn around and say, fuck it, I'm going to just keep being who I am. But I'm telling you, if I keep being who I am, then Liza will eventually say, I don't want to be with this guy. And I will eventually be with somebody who accepts me to be who I am. But I don't think I would want to be with someone like that. I like being with Liza. I love being with Liza, okay? That is super important for me. I love being around my kids, you know? So I want to be the best person I can be, incrementally growing that. I hope that was really useful for you, John. I hope that was useful for everybody else. If you've got any questions on that whatsoever, fire them away to me. My name is Lee Davey. I'm not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone that doesn't drink alcohol, and I am sometimes a complete fuck up, and other times I am really cool, and I try to help other people see that the same thing can be said of them too. Take care of yourself. Bye.